Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Under the command of Popeye Sailor, the spinach chef of the Beast Group Li Qiwei travels to the world of pirates, unlocks the Popeye panel, and the main mission is to make the world fall in love with spinach. Kai duo. Who is the boss on earth? I just said spinach is not delicious, so you're going to hang me up and hammer me for 3 days. King. Spinach Mantou, spinach wine, spinach barbecue. Even the pirate flag of the Beast Pirates has turned into a spinach flag. Red hair. Even if you dye my hair green with spinach juice, my red hair doesn't like to eat spinach. 5 old stars. Unbelievable, because the painting hanging on the wall is not spinach. Satan was stuffed with 10 tons of spinach, barely holding on. Red dog. The Pirates of Beasts. It's just a group of vegetable vendors dressed as pirates, forcing others to eat spinach everywhere. Crocodile Klor Kadar. Does not liking spinach violate the rules? If I don't like spinach, I will make crocodile leather shoes. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001. The reason for being so weak is not eating spinach. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Qiwei, the fourth, big signboard, of the Pirates of the Beasts, is also the chef of the Pirates of the Beasts, responsible for the meals of the entire pirates. His mother, is there any mistake? Why is it spinach today? In the skeleton fortress of Ghost Island, the unbearable fox fur roared incessantly. It's been 3 days now, and I can't do without spinach. In the morning is spinach mantou, and at noon is spinach rice and spinach barbecue. In the evening, it is spinach congee. Even in the drinks, there is a strong flavor of spinach. The other members of the Flying Six also had gloomy faces. The new head chef. Li Qiwei, is this guy sick? Even if Nima likes to eat spinach, she demands that others also eat spinach. Even dogs won't eat broken things. Fox flipped the table in a fit of anger, and the spinach dishes scattered all over the table on the ground. Sasaki looked at the spinach everywhere and said gloating, "You're in a terrible situation now. Someone lifted the table before, and Li Qiwei beat that person up. You probably won't be able to avoid a beating, ha ha ha. Hit me. Who do you think I am, Sasaki?" Fox pouted disdainfully, his face beneath his mask feeling extremely arrogant and arrogant. Don't compare those minions with me. If that guy Li Qiwei were in front of me, I would make him kneel down and eat all these spinach now. Squeak. As soon as the words fell, the door was pushed open. With a relatively thin figure, a man who was only 1.9 meters tall appeared. 1.9 meters in this world where there are often 3 or 4 meters of fierce men like dogs, it is indeed too small. Let's talk about Phosphor, he is over 3 meters tall. Li Qiwei looked at the spinach on the ground and his eyes narrowed into a line. Who did it? Of course it's me. Phosphor stood up on his own and glared at Li Qiwei with a stern expression. Are you crazy? We are pirates. Everyone likes to eat meat, drink alcohol, play with women, kill people and steal goods, and we can all do it, but one thing. We don't like to eat spinach. Li Qiwei patiently said, spinach is a vegetable with a very rich iron content. Eating more spinach can make everyone stronger. Stronger. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing to death. You often eat spinach, and I didn't see how strong you are. You're as thin as a bamboo pole, Phosphor sneered as he rolled over his stomach. I said. What did you do to promote Kaido boss to a big billboard? Did he take a liking to your butt? Said Phosphor with a wicked smile. Sasaki also grinned and said, ha ha ha. I can't believe Kaido is a man and woman. What a boring man. Runty turned around and left. Let's go, Peggy Wan. The young man with purple hair wearing a hat hesitated for a moment, and finally left with Runty. On the other hand, Black Maria still lingered, smoking her pipe leisurely and comfortably. Her bright big eyes occasionally glanced at Li Qiwei. Everything about Li Qiwei is a mystery. When Kaido brought him back, he immediately announced that he was the chef of the Beast Pirates and the fourth big signboard. As for his strength, everything was a mystery. This has also led to many people being dissatisfied with Li Qiwei, one of whom is the ambitious Ford. He has been thinking about the position of the big board, but Li Qiwei has come from behind and he has some opinions about it. Li Qiwei still smiled and looked at the spinach on the ground, saying, "At least everyone is a companion. I'm sorry to abuse you, so quickly pick up the spinach from underground and eat it. Then I'll forgive you." Ford twitched his lips and asked him to pick up the things underground and eat them. "I see you're deliberately picking on trouble, kid. Shave." Phosphor flashed in front of Li Qiwei in an instant, his finger stabbing towards his chest and saying, "Finger the gun." Bang! A collision sound similar to steel sounded, and Phosphor's painful old face twitched a few times. The fingerhead seems to have poked into the sea tower stone, it's too hard. He looked at Li Qiwei in surprise, this seemingly extremely thin and weak guy, surprisingly strong. "Giving you a chance is not worth it." Li Qiwei cracked down and said, "Do you know why you are so weak? It's just a reward of 546 million yuan of garbage because you eat too little spinach." Phosphor's veins are jumping wildly, offering a reward of 546 million garbage. His mother reward is only 80 million. This 80 million is still the latest bounty offered by the Navy. Kaido brought Li Qiwei over, and the bounty is still 0. The reason for giving 80 million is still because he became a cadre of the Beast Pirates. Phosphor was furious, "You mocked me for 546 million with 80 million. Don't get complacent, you bastard just happened to take a move, this time you're done. Shave." Phosphor flashed again, his fingers entwined around the armed color and stabbed fiercely, "Finger gun." The finger gun covered in armed colors is obviously more powerful. But Li Qiwei didn't care at all. He grabbed it with his big hand and ignored the terrifying penetrating power of the finger gun, directly holding his thumb in his hand. Kaka kaka. A crisp bone cracking sound sounded, and the index finger shattered directly. "Wow, ah." Ford let out a pig-like scream, which could be heard clearly from hundreds of meters away. "So it's not an embroidered pillow." Sasaki's pupils contracted for a moment. Although he didn't want to admit it, Phosphor was probably the strongest person in the Flying Six, and the reward was also the highest for him. If Li Qiwei could abuse Phosphor, Sasaki wouldn't be a problem. Another big shot has arrived. Black Maria smiled and looked at Li Qiwei with seductive eyes. "Big shot seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 002, really one step to the stomach. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You bastard, I can't spare you." Ford's eyes were bloodshot, and with a clang, the long sword from his waist emerged from its sheath. Swinging his arm, the Tai Dao flashed a dangerous cold light in mid-air. Puzzy. Sparks splattered on Li Qiwei's chest, and the piercing sound was so piercing that it felt like he had struck someone. It was clear that he had struck a steel plate with a knife. Ford, who had suffered another defeat, decisively retreated and distanced himself, his face extremely ugly. The originally sharp blade is now worn out. All kinds of signs indicate that Li Qiwei's armed dominance is not something he can break through. "Kid, before I get angry, eat the spinach underground quickly." Li Qiwei smiled lightly and said, "Otherwise. I get angry, even Kaido is very scared." "Who are you lying to?" Phosphor sneered, "Why shouldn't you be the captain?" "My dream is not to be a captain." Li Qiwei spread out his hand and said with longing, "People from all over the world, eating spinach every now and then is my ultimate goal." "Oh, my goodness," Black Maria gave an intoxicating smile and joked, "So, Lord Li Qiwei is going to start the big spinach age. Li Qiwei's eyes lit up and he said, that's right, the era of pirates has come to an end, and the era of spinach starts today. Go to hell with me, you crazy person. Phosphor pounced with lightning speed. He has transformed into a human animal mode, with two sharp teeth in his mouth biting towards Li Qiwei's head. Li Qiwei sneered and tilted his head back, effortlessly avoiding the sharp fangs. Bang! A backhand is a punch that goes straight to the face. Boom boom. The wall in the distance shattered, and Phosphor collapsed on the ruins, temporarily losing his mobility. He had Venus in his eyes and could vaguely sense something approaching him. After taking 2 deep breaths, Phosphor struggled to look up and saw Li Qiwei approaching him with a handful of spinach. Don't come over. He shouted in fear, even the Nima had fallen to the ground. Since you don't want to eat what's on the table, you can eat what's underground. Li Qiwei tuning in jokingly said, maybe adding some dust will make the taste better. You dream. Phosphor suddenly bounced up and disappeared with a whoosh. Phosphor was beaten away. Black Maria was stunned and lost after only a few moves. This idiot used to clamor for being a big signboard. The speed is really fast, worthy of being a saber-toothed tiger, no one can match in terms of running. Sasaki also joked as he looked at Phosphor, who disappeared in the blink of an eye. Running. In front of me, did you run? Li Qiwei took out a small bottle of canned spinach and poured it all into his mouth. A strange energy suddenly spread out. He immediately felt energetic and full of energy, saying, why don't you fools like such delicious and nutritious things? Li Qiwei grabbed the ground with both hands and suddenly pulled back. Boom boom. In an instant, the earth shifted and the ground was pulled over like a carpet. A scene hundreds of meters away suddenly flew in front of me. Lie down, lie down. Sasaki was dumbfounded, and his family was pulled over in an instant. Boom boom. Boom boom. Li Qiwei continued to tug at the ground, and after a few tugs, Phosphor appeared in front of him. This. He himself is also extremely confused, and surprisingly, someone caught up with me in this way. What kind of ability are you? After being in a daze for a while, Phosphor spoke in a wooden tone. I am the one who specializes in not eating spinach. Li Qiwei grabbed Phosphor's throat and immediately extended his other hand directly into his mouth. The big hand drove straight down and penetrated deep into the stomach. Sasaki. Dot. Black Maria. Dot. The two of them were already stunned by Li Qiwei's actions. First, they dragged the earth to play, and then, in order to let Phosphor eat the spinach, they directly reached into Phosphor's stomach. This is truly one step to the stomach. Phosphor rubbed his stomach in a daze, never expecting to eat spinach in this way. How does it taste? Is it great? Li Qiwei rubbed Phosphor's furry tiger head and said, eat more spinach, one day you will be as outstanding as me. 100,000 grass and mud horses flew by in Phosphor's heart. You think I'm a fool? If I have this ability, not to mention eating spinach, I'll start by the ton if I eat shit. And you, it seems like you talked a lot just now, kid. Li Qiwei's unfriendly gaze turned toward Sasaki and walked over. Sasaki suddenly panicked and kept retreating, quickly being pushed to the corner of the wall. At this moment, Sasaki had no trace of the brutality of a pirate, as if he had encountered a helpless young girl from a rogue. With his legs together, he said, Yakuo butterfly, Lord Li Qiwei. I really love eating spinach, really, I can't do without it every time. Sasaki flattered and said, to be frank, the pillows I sleep on at home are all shaped like spinach. Is that really the case? Li Qiwei turned around Sasaki and said, you chubby guy with big ears, can spinach have such great nutrition? Sasaki Pai explained with a smile, I am in the form of the dragon fruit Triceratops. Triceratops is a vegetarian animal, so it's not a problem to eat grass, let alone spinach. It's normal to have too much nutrition, right? Li Qiwei twitched at the corners of his mouth. You are very clever at his mother. Big shot seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 003, shit is not green, you mean love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Puzzy. Black Maria burst out laughing. To be honest, I have never seen such a humble Sasaki before. Why don't I believe it? Li Qiwei stood with his hands down and continued to circle around Sasaki. This guy was in a panic and quickly said, why don't you check and check? In fact, when he said this, he also felt that Li Qiwei couldn't figure it out, so he couldn't just reach into his stomach and take out the undigested food residue to take a look. Check it, right? Sure, you kid, stick your butt out. Li Qiwei circled behind Sasaki. Ah. Well, that's not appropriate, is it? Sasaki had a black face and asked me to pout my butt, and then you stood behind me. This posture I don't know, I thought I was selling my butt. Isn't it the inspection you mentioned? Why are you hesitant now? Are you afraid of revealing something? Li Qi narrowed his pupils into a line. Gollum. Sasaki immediately shuddered, the same look as before, and as a result, Phosphor was brutally beaten. He doesn't want to have a similar treatment and be ruined by it. Helpless, Sasaki could only pout his buttocks in cooperation. Although he didn't know what Li Qiwei was going to do, Sasaki trembled and said, Lord Li Qiwei, please be gentle. Black Maria also widened her eyes, eager to see what Li Qiwei was going to do. Don't worry, you're lying down, I'll be okay in a moment. Li Qiwei aimed at Sasaki's buttocks and suddenly stepped up. Bang! His buttocks suddenly sank in, and Sasaki felt a shock rush from his buttocks up his throat. His mouth instinctively opened, and an unidentified object flew out. Before I could even see what it was, a strong odor came from my mouth. What the fuck is that smell? Sasaki rubbed his hand against it, and there was still a slight stain on his thumb. His face was extremely gloomy, and the color and smell is there a retreat for Mao and his own Xiangru. It shouldn't be possible, I thought too much. Sasaki muttered to himself, at least I am also a man with a bounty of 472 million pele. How could I have been kicked out of shit by this guy? Besides, it still came out of my mouth. Shit, this kind of thing will never come out of the mouth no matter what. This is widely recognized by the world. However, Li Qiwei's next sentence extinguished Sasaki's fantasies and completely broke his defense. You dog, your feces are not even green. How dare you say you like to eat spinach? Li Qiwei looked fiercely at Sasaki and said, even I dare to deceive you. You're so brave, kid. Sasaki was stunned, his eyes wide open like those of a bull. No, how could you be so angry? Isn't that the person who should be angry, lousy? You just got cheated, but I was kicked out of shit or flew out of my mouth. In the future, his Sasaki reputation is probably no less than that of the fourth emperor and the pirate king. After all, he sprays feces in his mouth. Looking back at the past, present, and future, he is an extremely explosive existence. Phosphor touched his head. He used to feel a bit frustrated, but with Sasaki, a foolish loser, he seems quite lucky. I fought with you. Sasaki rushed forward like a madman, this hatred and hatred are irreconcilable. Humph, even if you're lying to me, how dare you attack me? You ignorant guy. Li Qiwei picked up some fragments of wood on the spot, clenched his fists, and released them. The wood miraculously turned into diamonds. What kind of ghost is this? Black Maria was stunned, and after rubbing her eyes repeatedly to confirm that she had read correctly, everyone was in a mess. Hardly squeezed the wood into diamonds. Brush. He threw it hard and the diamond hissed, piercing Sasaki's body. The boy plopped and fell to the ground. A man with a reward of over 400 million was easily knocked down by Li Qiwei. Next is Li Qiwei's gaze turned to the dull Black Maria, and he said with a half-smile, "Do you like to eat spinach?" "I like it." Black Maria quickly nodded. With these two lessons learned from the past, she was no longer reserved. Looking at the remaining spinach underground, she didn't mind whether it was dirty or not. She picked it up and frantically stuffed it into her mouth. "Pop pop pop pop, you're amazing." Li Qiwei immediately applauded and was very satisfied. Looking around again, he said, "Where are Peggy Wan and Runty?" "Mr. Li Qiwei, the two of them left early." Phosphor responded in a low voice, not daring to complain at all. Whether it was taking a step to his stomach or spraying feces in his mouth, he didn't want to appear on himself. "Do they like to eat spinach?" Li Qiwei asked again. Phosphor remained silent for a moment and said, "To be honest, none of the beast pirates likes to eat spinach. Even if they do, they eat it in front of adults. They must have thrown it all away behind the scenes. We are pirates. Of course, we like to eat wine and meat." "I see." Li Qiwei muttered to himself, "It seems that spinach wine and spinach meat need to be promoted as soon as possible." Phosphor and Black Maria exchanged a glance, sweating profusely. Is this Nima really going to turn them from the four emperors into spinach balls? It's impossible for everyone to eat spinach, as there are tens of thousands of beasts and pirates in the group. Black Maria shook her head. "This is simple, I already have a plan." Li Qiwei confidently said, "As long as our senior management takes the lead in eating spinach, everyone will also follow suit. Don't underestimate the power of role models. Two people want to cry without tears, role models are not used in this way. Big shots seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it." 004, Peggy Wan. My stomach has been pulled open. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a few more conversations with Phosphor and Black Maria, Li Qiwei left alone. The two of them breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Sasaki underground, feeling quite sympathetic. After all, the one who is famous for spitting feces in his mouth is probably the first. After Runty and Paijuan left, they returned to their own residence. Runty fell asleep, while Pegwan was diligently training. Bang, bang, bang. If Peggy's fist breaks the sandbag, a large amount of sand will splash open. Good martial arts, I'm tired. Let's have a spinach burger to supplement our nutrition. A pure green hamburger flew over, and Peggy instinctively caught it. He looked up and his pupils gradually widened, saying, "Li Qiwei. That's right, it's a chef." Li Qiwei held a bag of hamburgers and looked around. "What about your sister? You called her over to eat delicious burgers." "Spinach. Hamburgers." Peggy Wan coldly glanced at Li Qiwei and said, "Are you having a mental illness? Making a hamburger with spinach." He threw it directly underground and said, "Phosphor was right, feeding the dog. The dog doesn't even eat it. So that kid has already been beaten into a dog by me." Li Qiwei stretched lazily and said, "And he has promised me to eat 3 pounds of spinach every day from now on." A hint of disdain flashed through Peggy's eyes and he said, "Do you believe this? You are indeed a fool, and I don't know why Kaido brought you back to be a cook. That's all for the nonsense." Li Qiwei pointed to the spinach burger underground and said, "Pick it up and eat it quickly." Peggy said expressionlessly, "I only like beef burgers, of course." His facial expression suddenly became extremely fierce, and Jia smiled and said, "If it were a hamburger stained with blood, maybe I would give it a try." Li Qiwei sighed and said, "Everyone is a pirate group, why bother? It's so good to eat obediently, you insist on forcing me to beat you up. Are you stupid? Seeking death?" Peggy was furious and plunged in an instant. He didn't even know that Phosphor and Sasaki had been abused, otherwise he would never have been so impulsive. Bang, bang, bang. A heavy punch fell and Li Qiwei made a loud noise, shattering the ground behind him. But don't be fooled by the rolling smoke and dust, the earth shatters, and Grandpa Li Qiwei stands firm like a rock. Peggy Wan's expression slightly changed, and he gathered all his strength to roar. Boom boom. The continuous heavy blow hit his chest, but there was still no unnecessary change on Li Qiwei's face. Again and again, no longer three, once and twice is enough. If you punch again, I won't be able to forgive you. Peggy laughed back angrily and said, let me see why you don't forgive me. Boom boom. Another extremely fierce punch hit, and Li Qiwei took all the shots, still motionless. Peggy Wan's face turned pale with iron. What kind of monster is this? It's as durable as Kaido's boss. At this moment, with an inexplicable chill all over his body, he suddenly looked up and Li Qiwei grabbed it with his big hand. Peggy Wan showed no hesitation and smashed his fists, covering his armed and domineering aura. With a loud bang, Li Qiwei slapped and caught it, then grabbed it with his palm. Kaka kaka. A crisp bone-cracking sound sounded, and Peggy Wan's hand bone was directly crushed. Wow, ah. He also screamed loudly in pain, his whole body broke out in cold sweat. It's shameful to waste food, young man. Li Qiwei grabbed the back of Peggy Wan's head and pressed his cheek to the ground, saying, give me a hamburger to eat. I won't. If Peggy's face resists, the pupils are filled with wild beast madness. Li Qiwei frowned. This kid has a stubborn temper and refuses to open his mouth. There's nothing I can do, you insist on forcing me to use some special means. Li Qiwei opened another can of spinach and swallowed it all in his mouth. A strange force struck, and he felt full of vitality again. Li Qiwei placed his big hand under Peggy Wan's neck and suddenly pulled downwards, his stomach opening like a zipper. What is this? What is this situation? Peggy's mouth couldn't even close in surprise. What is Nima's ability? All 5 organs and 6 internal organs appeared before my eyes. Li Qiwei ignored Peggy Wan and immediately picked up the hamburger on the ground and put it in. Then the big hand pulled up along the navel, and the stomach closed again after finishing it. Li Qiwei released Peggy Wan. This kid sat on the ground dumbfounded, staring at Li Qiwei foolishly and doubting if he was dreaming. How is the taste? The spinach burger is not as good as you imagine, right? Li Qiwei said proudly, after all, it was carefully cooked by me. Even if you force me to eat this meal, I won't eat the next one. Peggy Wan looked dissatisfied. If you have the guts, keep pulling my stomach open. Li Qiwei's eyebrows furrowed. This kid has a hint of toasting, not eating, and being punished. What did you do to my brother, idiot? I wish I could peel off Li Qiwei's skin and let out a furious roar. Runty was like a mother tiger crashing into me. Bang bang. This little girl didn't talk about martial arts, and Li Qiwei, who was unprepared, immediately flew out. Brother, are you okay? Runty looked nervously. It's okay, it's okay. Peggy shook his head and quickly glanced at Li Qiwei, who immediately stood up unscathed. You're here just in time. I still have a few spinach burgers, you should eat them too. Li Qiwei shook the bag in his hand. Upon hearing this, Peggy quickly stood in front of Runty, lying down. Sister is a girl, and if her belly is pulled open, how will she see people in the future? Big shot seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 005, your armed color is very domineering, and now it's. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Runty suddenly became dissatisfied and pushed away Peggy Wan, saying, What are you doing? Don't stand in front of me, I want to abuse him. Sister, no matter what, the other person is just a big signboard. Peggy's eyes twitched and he subtly reminded Runty's expression became even more peculiar. When you came back just now, didn't you say that Li Qiwei, this big signboard, is nothing. Peggy Wan. He let out a heavy breath and said, in short, the other party cannot be underestimated, and we cannot be careless. What's not careless? Everyone is their own person. Li Qiwei pointed to the spinach burger in his hand and said, really, this chef just wants to give you some burgers to eat. This is an improved version. Let you try the taste. Why are there so many scenes one by one? My mother just won't eat. Runty fiercely straightened up the panel that was comparable to a cow and said, what can you do with me? I won't even give face to that stupid Kaido. What are you? Li Qiwei was also angered by the little girl and rolled up his sleeves, saying, it seems we still need to use violence. A lovely girl like you, I actually don't want to. A hurricane struck, and Runty suddenly killed her. Her head was still smashed like before. Runty gun. Runty's armed aura is quite impressive, and there is also a faint discharge of electricity. Coupled with the demon fruit of the animal series, the damage increases exponentially. Unfortunately, she was facing Li Qiwei who had eaten spinach. Bang bang. The tremendous impact had an extraordinary power, and Li Qiwei's body took a few steps back without any major issues. It's really not easy. He rubbed his chest and looked at Runty's head in surprise. The armed colors on it were domineering, and the dark red electric current continued to ravage. If I remember correctly, only a domineering and domineering appearance can do this, right? Why are you okay too? Runty proudly raised her fair chin and said, don't you even look at who I am. The number one sister of the beast pirates is me. Li Qiwei tilted his head and thought for a moment. If it were just women, there were not many who were stronger than Runty. Perhaps the First Lady's head was a bit exaggerated, but Runty could also argue, your armed and domineering aura is very good. I'm interested, and I'm going to take it away. Ha ha ha, take away my armed and domineering aura. I'm laughing to death, this guy is really an idiot. Runty covered her stomach and laughed wildly, did you hear that, Peggy Wan? That guy Kai Duo's head really twitched. He found such an idiot to be the big signboard, trying to grab my armed color and domineering aura. Ha ha ha, I'm laughing to death. Peggy Wan remained silent, his face as gloomy as ever. It's really quite ridiculous, but he just can't laugh. After all, my stomach was pulled open and closed by this guy. Peggy Wan, why don't you laugh? Hurry up and laugh at him with your sister, ha ha ha. Runty continued to laugh recklessly. Peggy Wan, who was naturally cautious, frowned and said, sister, you still. Be careful. He shouted loudly, and Li Qiwei approached like a ghost. When Runty regained her senses, it was already too late. Li Qiwei pressed Runty's head with one hand and began tearing it up along her temples with the other hand. With a piercing sound, a dark piece of paper was torn off by Li Qiwei alive. Sleeping slot. Seeing this bizarre scene, Peggy immediately cursed. Damn it, I'm far from the big picture. Can this guy tear off someone else's armed and domineering aura? Runty's laughter suddenly came to an end, and as she looked at the black paper in Li Qiwei's hand, she was also bewildered. Firstly, she can clearly perceive that the armed color is domineering. But holding on to the dominance of armed colors, are you saying this bullshit is not bullshit? Secondly, the armed aura on her head has indeed disappeared. After being stunned for half a minute, Runty exclaimed in disbelief, you really took away my armed aura. How did you do it? Are you blind? How did you do it? Isn't this thing just a tear off? Li Qiwei looked at Runty with an idiot's gaze, his speechless expression seeming to be saying, how did you fool into the beast pirate squad? Runty's head was covered in black thread, and she tore it off immediately. My brother, that's armed and domineering, not a sticker for children to play with. Of course, what happened next was even more outrageous. Li Qiwei slapped Runty's armed aura onto his head, and that aura really merged with his head. Pa la la la, dark red lightning was released above Li Qiwei's head. Listening to the crackling sound, Runty only felt her values collapse. This guy I really stole my armed aura and even got onto myself. What did you call that move just now, the run-to gun, right? Now try Lousy's Li Qiwei 2 gun, you stinky girl. Brush. Li Qiwei rolled up his voice and burst into it, his head pounding towards Runty's chest like a buffalo. Bang bang. She immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood and her body flew backwards, being knocked out of sight. Sister. Peggy rushed to save the person. Li Qiwei's face was indifferent. He wouldn't have foolishly shown mercy when he saw that the other person was a girl. After all, this woman was not polite to him at all. As for picking up girls or something funny or not, it's all his mother. Who wants to pick up a girl? P.S. Big shots seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 006, why don't you count it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Runty, who fell to the ground, was unbearable. Li Qiwei hit his chest with a heavy hammer, almost bursting 2 balls. This bastard. Runty stood up trembling, it was a great shame. Li Qiwei used his domineering power to torture her. Is this inappropriate for writing face output? Sister, how are you? Peggy Wan rushed up and helped Runty at the first time. They all told you to be careful. Runty smiled bitterly, and she didn't expect Li Qiwei to be so good at playing flower games. Tearing off her armed domineering aura and sticking it to herself, who believes it has spread. He's here. Peggy Wan nervously looked ahead, his body stretched like a steel plate. Runty also took advantage of the situation and saw Li Qiwei carrying a hamburger. Are you clear-headed? If you understand the difference, just obediently take this. It's not a poison. I really don't understand why you are so resistant. Li Qi also longed for a peaceful solution to the problem, but these pirates were not obedient at all. What's wrong with eating spinach for 3 meals a day? How healthy. Wake up, Grandpa, I won't eat it. Runty wiped away the blood stains from the corners of her mouth and said fiercely, even if I starve to death, I won't eat your spinach burger. Spinach is disgusting. In the future, I will remove the entire spinach from the country of he. Sister. Peggy Wan quickly covered Runty's mouth, afraid that she would anger Li Qiwei. Release me, you idiot. Runty gritted her teeth and said, at this moment, you should join hands with me to beat him up. Look at this guy's arrogant expression, my stomach hurts. Peggy shook his fist with a gloomy look in his eyes and said, before you came, he beat me up and broke my hand. He even pulled open my stomach and forcibly fed me a hamburger. Runty's mouth widened and she said, is there anything else? Yes. Peggy shrank his neck, full of fear, and said, this guy is very eerie, and his specific combat power is also unknown. Fighting is like a child's play, so we can do whatever we want. Continuing the stalemate will not benefit us. Runty's face was gloomy and uncertain, and she could hear Peggy Wan's implied meaning. To eat a spinach burger. Although they have been eating for 3 days, eating for 3 days actually has no effect on them. But shame on you. Not to mention being beaten up before surrendering, this is not an Yamato cheap bone. After much thought, Runty decided to struggle again. The limbs have turned into dragon claws, and the head has also grown horns. Peggy Wan also understood this, his body also turned into a beast. Looking at her younger brother firmly standing on her side, Runty, who had been beaten less, suddenly felt that she was capable again and said coldly, if we can't fight alone, then let's join forces. 2 fists are difficult to match 4 hands. What's this damn cook doing to fight our siblings? Peggy Wan remained silent, but his gaze became even more fierce. In fact, the injuries suffered by the siblings are not considered fatal, after all, the ability of animal-based beings to recover is already strong. Of course, more importantly, it was due to Li Qiwei's leniency. I just want the two of them to have more spinach, there's no need to harm their lives. Is it difficult to defeat 4 hands with 2 fists? It seems reasonable, but what if 400 punches are against 4 hands? Li Qiwei performed another wave of thought-provoking operations. He gently pulled a part of the muscles on his biceps, and it was in his hand. This. Peggy Wan and Runty exchanged a glance. If it weren't for the burning pain all over their bodies, they would have thought it was just a dream. This guy can do whatever he wants, and there seems to be nothing he can't do. He easily pulled off his own flesh, and those who don't know thought it was plasticine. Even more outrageous came, Li Qiwei casually sprinkled it, and the meatball split into countless liquids that merged into the earth. Kaka 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 kaka. After a few breaths, a large number of arms broke through the ground. Numerous arms resemble well-trained armies, standing neatly in 2 rows and clenching their fists in unison. Li Qiwei raised his arm and said, with these 2 fists, it's exactly 400. Do you want to count them? Runty. Peggy Wan. Runty wants to cry without tears. With such skills, what kind of cook would you be? There's no need to join the beast pirates, just become the boss yourself. Peggy Wan also felt that the beast pirates' temple was too small to accommodate a big Buddha like Li Qiwei. Give it to me. With a wave of his big hand, hundreds of fists erupted into a group fight against the siblings. Bang 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 bang. Wow, The fists as dense as rainstorm, accompanied by their screams, resounded through the sky. Li Qiwei watched coldly without any intention of stopping. A little girl like Runty with a donkey-like temper would never obediently submit in the future if she wasn't beaten up. Pop. 1 minute later, Li Qiwei snapped his fingers and the fiercely attacking fists just stopped. The siblings were unbearable, with blue noses and swollen faces, and injuries all over their bodies. The most pitiful one is Runty. She has a big chest, but after being beaten, she becomes even bigger. She is swollen like 2 watermelons, and even her clothes are stretched open. Fortunately, there was no one around, only Li Qiwei was left, and Peggy Wan also fainted. Damn it, you bastard. Don't look. Runty still had consciousness and looked down at Li Qiwei, who was both shy and angry. You overthink it, I'm not interested in those 2 liang of meat from you. Li Qiwei's eyes were calm as if in a stagnant pool. If you don't eat spinach in the future, then let's continue. Eat and eat. The frustrated Runty agreed, but if she dares to refuse again, this hanging hair may really blow up her swollen and unwanted thing. P.S. Big shots seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 007, Ghost Island Renovation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ghost Island is currently the territory of Li Qiwei alone. Kai duo, I don't know where he committed suicide. Quinn and Jean are currently in the Flower City. As for Jack, he went to trade with de Reyes Rosa and Doflamenco. Without hesitation, Li Qiwei is now the executive vice captain, belonging to the captain-level organization. Naturally, he also needs to enjoy captain-level treatment like Kaido, and all pirates on Ghost Island should listen to him. Although forcibly promoting oneself has caused dissatisfaction among many people, it cannot withstand Li Qiwei's biggest fist, and everyone can only silently accept it. He also stopped pretending, and the demolition project immediately began. He had been displeased with this Ghost Island, which was full of Qi, for a long time. In the skull-shaped fortress, Feilu and Li Qiwei all arrived. This time, they ate the spinach dishes on the table clean and tidy. After being cleaned up, these guys became more obedient one by one. Dismantle, demolish everything. This broken island has no natural atmosphere and is permeated with oppression everywhere. It will be demolished and rebuilt immediately. Li Qiwei's gaze swept across the entire room, and his voice was unquestionable. The breath of nature. Phosphor said speechlessly, aren't we a pirate group? What kind of natural scent do we need? Or. When I didn't say it. Discovering Li Qiwei staring at him, Phosphor quickly shut up. Anyway, we are all a group and must have a unified identity. Li Qiwei paused and was about to continue speaking when Runty, who was wrapped in bandages, spoke up. Aren't everyone wearing the skull flag of the Pirates of the 100 Beasts tattooed on their bodies? Everyone nodded one after another, and many pirates were tattooed with the emblem of the pirate group. Bang! Li Qiwei slammed the table heavily and said, you know what? The skull flag tattoo on my body is too unsightly. Now, I'll tattoo spinach for all of my staff. Do you understand? Everyone looked at Li Qiwei in silence. To be honest, if it weren't for seeing this guy's rebellion yesterday, they would have come up together and attacked him long ago. Damn it, no matter how ugly the pirate flag is spinach still ugly? Also, our 100 Beasts and One Piece team's flag needs to be changed. The previous one was too monotonous, this is the new flag. Li Qiwei pulled out a white flag, which was empty except for a clean and emerald green spinach. The scene suddenly fell into a deathly silence. Everyone looked at Li Qiwei, Namabo, and everyone in astonishment. Forget about the spinach, why did Mao even change the pirate flag? Is this going to wipe out the beast pirates? What was not achieved by the navy and other 4 emperors, but rather by Li Qiwei, who was one of his own people, instead of lying in bed? I guess even killing the navy wouldn't have imagined that the beast pirates, who had racked their brains to destroy, would one day be buried on their own heads. Lord Li Qiwei, do you really plan to change us into a spinach ball of beasts? Black Maria asked calmly, hesitating for a moment before whispering, forgive me for being blunt, doing this is no different from plotting to usurp the throne. Everyone looked at Li Qiwei with concern, afraid that this guy would turn a blind eye. He just smiled faintly and said, you guys are too nervous. I just want everyone to fall in love with spinach, without any other thoughts. Ghost Island is just one of my strongholds. First, I have taken control of this place, and then gradually expanded to the Kingdom of Harmony, followed by the entire sea. And the world. Li Qiwei is ambitious, and this is the main task of the system that must be completed. If not, my Popeye panel will be cancelled. Alright, let's call it a day for the meeting. Tell everyone that from now on, all staff must be tattooed with spinach. The pirate flag also needs to be replaced with a spinach flag. By the way, everyone should also dress me in green spinach battle clothes, understand? Whoever doesn't obey is disloyal. Li Qiwei's cold gaze looked around the room, and everyone nodded in agreement on the surface, but cursed loudly in their hearts. There is no one else in this Nima, relying on spinach to judge loyalty is simply a joke. After waiting for everyone to leave one after another, Li Qiwei also stepped into the highest point of the Ghost Island, with the vast island in sight. The most eye-catching thing is nothing more than the Skull Fortress, which has a total of 6 levels and is very large. It's really ugly. Li Qiwei flashed and arrived at the top of the roof. He took out a spinach from his arms and quickly inserted it into the rock. Unless a miracle occurs, this spinach will never grow. But Li Qiwei has canned spinach, he didn't hesitate to dry a bucket. That strange force once again swept through the whole body. He has become that omnipotent man again. Li Qiwei grabbed the tender sprout of spinach and forcefully pulled it upwards, causing the entire spinach to instantly soar by about 10 meters. After a few moments, the spinach grew to an exaggerated height of 100 meters, and the giant spinach seemed like a hat covering the skull. Kai Duo, that guy. Will definitely love this big green hat. Li Qiwei rubbed the tip of his chin, feeling very satisfied with it. Not only this skull fortress, but also other buildings on Ghost Island. Either the spinach logo is pasted, or it is painted green directly, or the spinach flag is inserted. Anyway, no matter what, everything on the island, even the toilet paper used to wipe the buttocks, must have traces of spinach. Otherwise, it's disloyalty. Those who are disloyal will be beaten. In addition, every day, everyone must eat at least 3 pounds of spinach. There is no impermeable wall in the world, and Li Qiwei's misconduct on Ghost Island inevitably spread to the flower capital. P.S. Big shots seeking support for new books, flower review tickets are all acceptable, and I'm even more excited to offer it. 008, Drought Jack. Have I come to the spinach country? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a palace of the flower capital palace. Quinn, one of the 3 disasters, was playing with his robotic arm and still hanging a cigar in his mouth. Damn pervert, have you heard that kid made Ghost Island go crazy? Do we need to stop him? The man in black leaning against the wall was wearing a mask and his eyes were also closed. If you want to go, go ahead. If you want to go ahead and poke the sky, let him do as he pleased. This is the original words of Kaido, boss. Really, Kaido, that guy, why do you believe him so much? Quinn's eyes flickered with a strong thirst for knowledge. There shouldn't be any particularly significant secret in him, right? Jean opened his eyes and glanced at Quinn. If you want to know, just go ask, he said, 3 days later. Wow, gurgle on the vast blue sea, a pirate ship is braving obstacles and rushing towards the Ghost Island. This ship is Jack's mammoth during the drought. Jack is also aware of the fact that Li Qiwei has become the 4th signboard of the Beast Pirates, and even when Kaido returned with Li Qiwei, Jack was present. To be honest, he didn't have a good impression of Li Qiwei, and the two even had conflicts. The reason is very simple. That bastard asked Jack to carve his ivory into spinach in order to promote it. Jack didn't want to, he just refused, and he sprayed a wave of extremely vulgar language with Li Qiwei, warmly comforting his ancestors for 18 generations. Since then, Jack has been out on a mission. It's strange, Ghost Island is in that direction. That's right, why? Jack on the deck, holding a telescope, looked at the islands in the distance in disarray. The former Ghost Island was covered in black rocks, and the sky was shrouded in dark clouds all year round. It was gloomy all year round. However, looking at this moment, there is a lush green scene. All the buildings were painted green, and even the rocks were not spared. There used to be the most prominent skull fortress, although not painted green, but with a huge spinach covering its head like a hat. Jack only twitched at the corner of his mouth. The skeleton fortress is the headquarters of a group of beasts, built by Kaido himself. If he knew that Li Qiwei had rewarded him with a big green hat, he didn't know what kind of expression it would be. The most striking thing is that the original dark clouds over the sky have also become green, and the shape of spinach is exactly the same. Jack was dumbfounded. How on earth did this happen? 10 minutes later, the battleship Mammoth docked and Jack had just disembarked, breaking through the defense on the spot. Who changed our pirate flag? He casually swept, and everywhere was a spinach flag fluttering in the wind. It's needless to say, of course it's that dead cook. A deep voice came and Sasaki appeared silently. If you look closely, his body has lost a whole circle, and his eyes have also developed thick black circles. In recent days, suffering from torture, the moment my eyes close, I see myself being beaten and spraying feces in my mouth. Sasaki hated Li Qiwei to death in his heart and had been thinking of retaliating against him. Jack's arrival gave Sasaki hope. Li Qiwei is a big board, and Jack is also a big board. In terms of level, the two can match up. Doesn't anyone care about that guy? Jack's eyes were blazing with fire. Brother Jean and Brother Quinn, will you just tolerate Li Qiwei's recklessness? The flower capital is quiet, without any movement. Sasaki was also very puzzled. Humph. I don't have the good temper of the two big brothers. Jack exclaimed, I won't tolerate that mischievous child either. Sasaki, first ask someone to unload the artificial demon fruit brought by Dressrosa, and I will come as soon as I go. Jack walked away with a burly figure, and Sasaki felt uneasy. He thought Jack had gone to fight, but in reality, he didn't. He continued to wander around the ghost island and found that even the slightest details were infused with traces of spinach. Take a deep breath of air, which is mixed with a fresh breath similar to vegetables. The pirates they see either wear green spinach battle clothes or have spinach patterns printed on their clothes. On the body, there are also various spinach tattoos. Jack's heart was filled with 100,000 grass and mud horses passing by. Did he enter the spinach country? Unconsciously, he came to his own residence, and the scene he saw made him confused again. What the fuck is this? His once domineering and unique elephant villa has now been transformed into a giant pillar over 20 meters high, with a circular iron ball at the top. This design is very unique, isn't it the same as that? Jack is extremely ashamed. Except for Li Qiwei, no one dares to be so bold. Perhaps I overthought it. No matter how lawless that guy is, he wouldn't dare to be so reckless. Jack comforted himself in his heart. Oh my! Isn't this Jack's brother? I didn't expect you to come back. Li Qiwei's angry voice came in, afraid that this guy wouldn't notice the shape of the house. He directly asked, how about it? Is Zayagoba a perfect match for a large dot-sized goba room? Jack's mind went blank upon hearing this. Oh, by the way, upon careful consideration, when I had an argument with Li Qiwei before, this guy mocked his own weak strength. With a reward of 1 billion yuan, ivory is worth 9 billion yuan, at best a hook 8. During his absence, this bastard transformed his house into a goba shape. P.S. Adoptive fathers. Seeking all kinds of support, flower evaluation tickets, and so on, I have 2 more updates in the future. Jack. So I'm elephant fruit inflatable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You're forcing me to kill you. Jack's eyes were filled with a fierce aura, and his pupils were bloodshot. Often, only when he saw the enemy did he become so ferocious. Mr. Kaido cherishes his talent, I don't have that boring interest. Bang, bang, bang. Jack instantly turned into a mammoth, and the ground was crushed by him. His massive body collided like a tank. Li Qiwei leaped up in the air, punching his meaty head like a sandbag. Bang bang. With a tremendous force, Jack's massive body retreated and his mind spun around. At your level, where did you have the courage to be arrogant in front of me? Li Qiwei squinted his eyes and said, go eat 20 pounds. Oh no, I'll forgive you for eating 200 pounds of spinach with your big body. I'll eat your grandpa, eat. Jack became angry with embarrassment, his round head entwined with an armed and domineering aura, unleashing an incredibly terrifying force that collided with him. He took one step at a time and ran wildly, shaking the earth and mountains. There was a clear sensation hundreds of meters away. Bang bang. Li Qiwei flew out in an instant, flipping his body multiple times in the air. Ha ha ha. Jack grinned and said, if my grandfather's 1 billion bounty is 900 million ivory, and your 80 million bounty, of which spinach is worth 79 million, you are even more valuable than me. Li Qiwei lay underground for a moment before quickly getting up unscathed. He looked at Jack like a fool and said, what's the point of farting there? Jack's heart sank slightly, and his fierce gaze also showed a hint of strangeness. With his full force, he was able to take it without any harm. Humph, no matter what, you're not my opponent. Jack confidently said, body size equals strength. In the face of absolute weight, you can't withstand multiple impacts. It's okay to hit twice at a time, what about 8 times 10 times? Upon hearing this, Li Qiwei did not deny that Jack's massive body, coupled with his armed and domineering demeanor, was indeed uncomfortable to be hit by him. You make a lot of sense. This massive body is quite threatening. Since that's the case, I'll let your anger go first. Li Qiwei immediately dried a can of spinach, and his eyes immediately became bright. As for Jack, he laughed angrily. Let me go. Do you think I'm an inflatable elephant, you idiot? Boom boom boom. Jack continued to rampage, and the pair of sharp ivory tusks stabbed directly at Li Qi. At the critical moment, Li Qiwei's body suddenly split into pieces. What kind of ability is this? Jack, who was feeling lonely, was stunned and thought of a certain ability in his mind for the first time. Splitting the fruit in half. But that's not right either, the fruit has already been consumed by people. I'm not interested in eating devil's fruit. Li Qiwei's head floating in the sky disdainfully said, it doesn't have any effect on me, but it has added a weakness. Fear of water. Compared to spinach, the so-called devil's fruit is what dogs don't even eat. Jack's face turned green, so there are quite a few dogs in the world, after all, there are countless demon fruit abilities on the sea at the same time. Li Qiwei's body quickly recombined, and he took a step forward, his figure like the wind, and with a brush, he disappeared. When Jack regained his senses, Li Qiwei had already appeared on his left side. His face remained unchanged and he said, it's useless. With the mammoth form and powerful defense, no matter what kind of attack, it can't penetrate me. Poop. Before Jack could finish speaking, he felt a sharp pain. Li Qiwei inserted a single finger into his body, and the so-called armed color and domineering aura were like a facade. Are you ready, Jack? I'm going to vent your anger. Li Qiwei looked at the huge elephant head seriously. Jack felt his IQ was pressed to the ground and rubbed. I say again, his mother is not a balloon. How could it be? Jack panicked like a chicken, his body instantly shriveled. After Li Qi pulled out his fingers, a large amount of gas was expelled from his body. The bloated elephant body shrank at a visible speed to the naked eye. In just the blink of an eye, Jack was reduced to a wrinkled film, quietly lying on the ground, unable to move. Strangely, both the eyes and mouth, including the nose, can breathe normally. Damn it, what have you done to me? Jack was both panicked and angry, and he never expected to be defeated in such a humiliating way. Such an incredible ability refreshed Jack's cognition. Surprisingly, it is possible to modify the form of life against the heavens. Is this the ability that humans should possess? It's like a god who can do anything. Jack shivered and for the first time, a feeling of fear appeared in his heart. Well, that. Brother Li Qiwei. Jack hesitated and smiled obsequiously, I've offended you so much before. I'm sorry, but I didn't understand before and offended you. Please forgive me. Just know what's wrong, we're not the kind of unreasonable person. Li Qiwei stretched lazily and said, how many pounds of spinach a day from now on? Starting at least 10 pounds. Jack immediately responded. Would you like me to carve your ivory into spinach? He asked again. A hint of pain and humiliation flashed on Jack's face, but soon disappeared. That was my honor. That's pretty much the same. You wait, I'll find something to help you recover. I am willing to eat spinach and also agree to help Li Qiwei promote spinach. The goal has been achieved, so there is no need to make things difficult for him. A few minutes later, Li Qiwei came over with an air pump. Jack had a constipated expression on his face. He let go of his anger first and then filled it up. With the influx of gas, under Jack's incredible gaze, his body slowly recovered. He couldn't help but ask himself, is it possible that Laozi is in the form of an elephant fruit and an inflatable elephant? P.S. Adoptive fathers. Begging for flower evaluation tickets and rewards, all kinds of requests. Little brother, thank you. 010, Crazy Quinn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a blink of time, it was 3 days later. During this period, Jack was honest and didn't dare to make any changes. Seeing Li Qiwei, he also nodded and bowed, as respectful as facing Kai. He also recognized Li Qiwei's position as executive vice captain. After several days of operation, the entire Ghost Island has undergone earth-shattering changes. The traces of the 100 beasts and pirates have almost disappeared. The pirate flag has been replaced with a spinach flag. Wearing green spinach battle clothes. Even some people are wearing green headsets. Everyone began to eat spinach. Spinach Mantou and spinach wine almost became the mainstream. To be honest, the food on Ghost Island, even if a monk from Qingxiu comes, will shed 2 lines of tears. A skull-shaped fortress. Li Qiwei summoned all drought-stricken Jack and Flying Six. The renovation of Ghost Island has almost been completed, and the next step is to promote spinach to the country of peace. Li Qiwei, who was at the forefront, passionately said, "You still need to work hard with me." Flying Six cells. Jack. They were hesitant to speak, a good team of beasts and pirates, and it seemed that this rhythm was about to be destroyed by Li Qiwei's hands. "Brother Li Qiwei, there is a saying that I don't know if I should say it properly." Jack said with uncertainty, "I heard you also dismantled Brother Quinn's laboratory." "Yeah, what's wrong?" Li Qiwei said without thinking, "Anyway, Quinn is in the Flower City and he won't come back. I threw all those scrap metal into the sea." Jack's mouth twitched. Scrap metal. He could vaguely imagine Quinn jumping into a rage, wielding a 40-meter machete to kill from the kingdom of Heji. Quinn was also a scientist in the past, belonging to the same laboratory as Bergapunk, Caesar, and others. He himself often concocted various weapons. The reason why Quinn is called Epidemic is closely related to his messy inventions. And now Li Qiwei lost all of Quinn's treasures. He was sweating profusely, and these 2 big brothers were likely to fall into a civil war. Not to mention, Quinn's laboratory is not completely useless. Li Qiwei excitedly said, "I have found a lot of culture media and transplanted spinach into it. It has grown so lush." So what? Jack had a bad premonition. So I changed Quinn's laboratory to a spinach planting base, to benefit everyone in the future. Jack directly petrified. The capital of flowers. What a bastard, that damn black charcoal snake. Quinn stood in front of a certain brothel with a gloomy expression on his face. The number 1 here was a young woman named Xiaozi, who Quinn was very obsessed with. However, he came late this time, and she had already been taken away by the black charcoal snake. It would be a pity if Xiaozi marries black charcoal snake. Quinn sighed, if a beautiful woman had been stuck in cow dung. It's too annoying. "Brother Quinn, there's news coming from the Ghost Island." The pirate dressed in animal skin rushed up and knelt down. "Your laboratory has been transformed into a spinach planting base by Lord Li Qiwei." "What?" Quinn almost spurted out a mouthful of old blood and quickly asked, "Where are the treasures I've invented over the years?" "Okay, it seems like they've all been thrown into the ocean." "Wow. I'm going to kill that bastard." Ghost Island, Li Qiwei didn't even know that Quinn had gone crazy. "They are really good eyes." Li Qiwei kept rubbing his eyes. Half an hour ago, the system gave him a special ability. The eye of food. You can see clearly how much spinach anyone consumes every day. This is a good thing. If we were to check before, we also had to see if the other person's feces were green. Li Qiwei, big brother. Jack rushed in with great enthusiasm and said, "Brother Quinn is charging over with 10 warships." "Quinn. Why did that chubby guy suddenly come back?" Li Qi's face showed a hint of surprise. "The news that you dismantled his laboratory has probably reached Brother Quinn's ears. Seeing his expression, I wish I had eaten you." Jack spoke with lingering fear. Li Qiwei touched his chin and asked, "That chubby guy doesn't like to eat spinach either." Jack is speechless. Does this question still need to be asked? Men love to drink and eat meat. Only foolish losers eat spinach every day. Before, there was only one foolish loser like Li Qiwei, good guy now there are tens of thousands. Under the high-pressure rule of the cook Li Qiwei, the tens of thousands of pirates stationed on Ghost Island couldn't do without spinach. Li Qiwei. You damn chef, get out of here. I'm going to twist your head off and turn it into a night pot. Crazy Quinn had not yet approached Ghost Island when he was already roaring at it on the deck. The beauty ran away with the black charcoal snake, and Quinn was already angry. Li Qiwei, this bastard, has demolished his house and planted spinach. Damn it, do you all want to ride on me and poop? P.S. 10 is over, please ask for a flower evaluation ticket. Thank you very much.